The topic that we're going to speak about is Achris Hayomim, the end of days. So I thought that in the Hakdama first, let's understand what this notion means. Well, what do you mean, end of days? End of days are the last days of what? What's the beginning days? What's the middle days? So we have to have the big picture in order to understand. We're going to speak about events that the Nevi'im, the prophet, says that are going to happen at the end of days. So what is the timeline? So first let's learn the concept of Achris Hayomim, which is in Hebrew, end of days. Those two words, Achris Hayomim, mentioned in the Tanakh, and the entire Tanakh, many times. But in the Torah, in Chamisha Chumshei Torah, it mentioned 4 times. 4 times only. In very interesting places. The first time in the Torah that those words Achris Hayomim mentioned is in Parshas Vaychi, the end of Sefer Bereshis, the last day of the life of Yaakov Avinu. Remember, the last 17 years of Yaakov Avinu he spent in Egypt, in Mitzrayim, after he discovered that Yosef is alive. So he spent then there 17 years, and he died in Mitzrayim, in Egypt. The last day of his life, he gathered together his children, the Shvatim, the tribes, and it's a very dramatic day, because in this day, we finish the era of the Avos, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and we're moving forward to the Shvatim, to the tribes. So at this point, actually, Am Yisrael, the nation, the Jewish people, started their journey in the history. So Yaakov gathered his children and said, let me tell you what will be the destination. What will be at the end. And those are the words. Vayikra Yaakov el banav, vayomer, Yaakov called his sons, vayomer, he'asfu ve'agid alachem, gather together, and I'm going to inform you, et asher yikra etchem be'acharit hayamim, what's going to happen with you in Achris Hayomim. Wow, that sounds so super dramatic. After that, you go to the next pasuk to understand, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? If you look at the next psukim, you will find nothing. You'll find that he actually called each one of his sons and give them a design what their job or mission going to be during the history. No words about what's going to happen when he announced that. So that's our story by itself. I just now showing the places that those words, Achris Hayomim, mentioned in the Torah, and the first time is at the end of the life of Yaakov Avinu. The next time it's mentioned in the Torah, it's not in Sefer Shemot, and not in Sefer Vayikra, it's in Sefer Bamidbar. And it's in Parshas Balak, when Balak called Bilam to curse the Jewish nation. It was at the end of the end of the journey in the desert. They were almost close to Eretz Canaan, and that's the time that's happened. So Bilam was anti-Semite, like Balak, and he wants to curse the Jewish people, but Hashem prevented him from doing this, and he put blessing in his mouth. You're familiar with that, right? So after 3 times that Balak tried, maybe Bilam will curse, maybe Bilam will curse, didn't work. Balak said to Bilam, listen, get out of here. I called you to curse them. You're not just not cursing them, you're blessing them. Go away. And here comes Bilam and explained to him, he apologized, he said, you cannot blame me, I told you in advance, I'm not the owner of my mouth. Hashem will put the things in my mouth, and that's what happened. But you're right, I didn't give you what you called me for. I'm going. Before I go, let me tell you another thing. And that was the 4th time that Bilam's speaking. And remember, Hashem put the things in his mouth, and that's what he said. It's in Sefer Bamidbar, Perek Kavdalet, Parshas Balak. Ve'ata hineni holech le'ami, לך יעצך, אשר יעשה העם הזה לעמך באחרית הימים. I'm going now to my country, to my nation. Let me give you an advice. And let me tell you what this nation, meaning the Jewish people, Am Yisrael, will do to your nation at the end of days. And here he said things that no one understands, but he said a list of things, what's going to happen at the end of days. Anyway, this is the second time. The third time, the third and the fourth are in Sefer Devarim, and you have to remember that Sefer Devarim was done, or Moshe Rabbeinu says, Ela advorim asher diber Moshe, Moshe Rabbeinu speaking, in the last 37 years of his life, at the end of the journey in the desert. So in Parshas Va'eschanan, after Moshe Rabbeinu realized that he will not enter Eretz Yisrael, he tried last time, Va'etchanan el Hashem, I begged Hashem, please let me go inside, go to Eretz Yisrael. Hashem told him, don't talk to me anymore about this, אל תוסף דבר אליי עוד בדבר הזה. So Moshe Rabbeinu started to rebuke the Jewish people and tell them, listen, I took you out of Mitzrayim. We spent the last 40 years in the desert, and you proved what Hashem told me in the beginning after Chet HaEgel, ראיתי את העם הזה והנה עם קשה עורף הוא. This nation is a stubborn nation. So he started to talk to them and tell them the wrong things that they did in order, with his responsibility. He felt that he took them out of Mitzrayim, he's supposed to take them, to bring them to Eretz Yisrael. Because of Chet HaMeraglim, the spies sin, he will not. But he thought that his mission is to warn them that after they will go to Eretz Yisrael, in order to stay there, they have to keep the Torah that Hashem gave them in Sinai. And because, again, of the experience of the last 40 years, he was very, very worried that this will not happen. Therefore, the entire Sefer is to warn them again and again and again. Keep the mitzvahs. If you will not keep the mitzvahs, you will not stay in Eretz Yisrael, you're going to go to exile. Among the other things, in Parshas Va'eschanan, he says the following, Moshe Rabbeinu, in Sefer Devarim, בצר לך, ומצאוך כל הדברים האלה באחרית הימים, ושבת עד השם אלוקיך ושמעת בקולו. When you will go through all this tzoros, through all this problem, all this, if you will not behave right, you're going to get punished by exile, by other problems that are going to happen during the history. At the end, in Achris Hayomim, now Moshe Rabbeinu speaking, in Achris Hayomim, at the end of days, after all of the prophecies will fulfill, what's going to happen? ושבת עד השם אלוקיך ושמעת בקולו. You will return, you will do tshuva. So there's a very interesting nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu that at the end of days will be tshuva. The Jewish people will go back after they will realize that it was not worth to play games with Hashem, and they will go through all these terrible things. Then, in the last generation, before Mashiach, before the Geula, before the redemption, they will do tshuva. So here it says clearly that it will happen in Achris Hayomim, and actually in Parshas Nitzavim there are more details about how the process of tshuva at the end of days before Mashiach will come will happen. So that's another thing. The last time in the Chamisha Chomshei Torah that those two words, Achris Hayomim, this notion mentioned, is also by Moshe Rabbeinu in Parshas Vayelech, just before Parashat Ha'azinu. Parashat Ha'azinu is the song, Ha'azinu Hashamayim V'Adabera, the last parsha before the last parsha, before V'zos HaBracha. And Moshe Rabbeinu gave the entire Shirat Ha'azinu, or the Song of Ha'azinu, and described the entire relationships between Hashem and Klal Yisrael to the end of days. Right before this, in Parshat Vayelech, again, I just repeat what I said before, he was really worried because after his experience, when he was with them, they make Hashem angry again and again and again and again. So he was really worried that what happened after he will die. So that's what he said. And here he said something very dramatic and not that pleasant. End of Parshas Vayelech before Shirat Ha'azinu. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, כי ידעתי אחרי מותי, כי השחת תשחיתון, וסרתם מן הדרך אשר ציוויתי אתכם. I know that after I'll die, you will go away from the דרך, you'll get off the דרך, אשר ציוויתי אתכם. וקראת אתכם הרעה באחרית הימים, כי תעשו את הרע בעיני השם, להכעיסו במעשה ידיכם. And this is not pleasant. Would be a series of punishment, but the punishment will be at the end of days. Hara'ah, a bad things that are going to happen to you at the end of days. And this is not really pleasant to hear. Fine. What this Ra explained in Parshas Ha'azinu. Thank you. All of this? Oh no. Yeah? Okay. Fine. So, in the Torah, those are the 4 places that this notion Achris Hayomi mentioned. Now, I'm going to show you something very interesting. Where is the secret of understanding the history, when the history is going to end? Very interesting. Tomorrow night, Friday night, every Friday night, we sang Vayechulu. Vayechulu Hashemayim Va'aretz, right? At the end of the description of Ma'aseh Bria, the 7th day, after the 6th day, Vayechulu Hashemayim Va'aretz v'chol tzvam. Let's look at this and see that here is the secret. Vayechulu Hashemayim Va'aretz v'chol tzvam. The entire creation was concluded, finished. Vayichal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa. Now, because here is the 7th day of the creation, and it speaks about what happened in the prior 6 days, the 6 days that were before, right? The word asa, what's asa? Did, is in the past. Because the 6th day happened before the 7th, right? Asher asa. So it's a past. Asa is past, ose is now, ya'aseh is future. So here it says, ויחול השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, that he did. וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. Again, the word עשה in a past. But if you continue, it's mentioned again, but in different way. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוקים, לעשות. לעשות is future. לעשות is to do. It should be אשר ברא אלוקים ועשה, that he did, because we're talking again about things that happened before. לעשות, here in this word, is the secret. Now let's explain it. The Ramban, Nachmanides, in his comments to the Torah, explain in the beginning in the simple level, and then he goes to the, in the Torah, in every pasuk we have 4 levels. Pardes, Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. Pshat is the simple understanding. Drash, Remez is the hint. Hint could be in different ways of hints. Let's say the first letter of every word, or the last letter of every word, or sometimes in the Torah we have bigger letters or smaller letters. All of those are this level that's called hint. So there is a whole information in each one of those levels. So we have the simple, the remez, the drash, and the sod. The sod is the secret, and the drash is the medrash. The meaning of the word, for those of you who want to understand the word midrash or lidrosh, in Hebrew, in Lashon HaKodesh, there are two meanings to the word lidrosh. Either to demand, I demand this and this, lidrosh. Or to search, lidrosh, lechapes. Darosh darash Moshe v'hinei soraf. To search. So what is the medrash? The medrash always take word or pasuk in the Torah, and actually he connected to another pasuk in the Nevi'im, and you look at it and you say, what's the logic? What's the connection? Just because there are same words here and there, what's the logic of the medrash? So the medrash is actually taking the simple level and ask a question, hidden question. It's a white question, hidden. How come the Torah describe it this way? It could be easier to say it in different words. So any time in the Torah that you will say, you know what, if I need to write the information just to give you the information, I will do it efficiently, easily, in different way. Every place like this in the Torah, you have to know that it's not by chance, it's on purpose, and something hidden behind it. This is the drisha, the request, the demand to understand why it's this way or not. So after the Ramban explained this pasuk according to the simple, to the pshat, he says the following, Veda. Now, a tip for learning Ramban. Anytime the Ramban says Veda, and you should know, you're going to speak about big things. Sometimes he said it, Ve'al derech ha'emet, and in the true way. So always he's going deeper. Veda, ki nichlal od bemilat la'asot. It included in the meaning of the word la'asot in a future term, ki sheshet yemei bereshit hem kol yemot olam, ki kiyumo yeh 6,000 shana. The Torah described how Hashem created the world. This is the beginning stage of the history. The word la'asot, said the Ramban, in a future term, telling you that it hinted over here that it's not just a description of technically how and how much time took Hashem to create the world, which is 6 days. La'asot speaks about the future, and it speaks about the same thing. It was 6 days to create the world. It will be, those 6 days will be parallel to the 6,000 years that the world will exist. So here we have the outline. We know now beginning, end. 6,000 years. So the Ramban just saying this. Veda ki nichlal od, including also in the word la'asot, ki sheshet yemei bereshit, the 6 days of the creation, hem kol yemot olam. This is the time that the entire world will exist. Ki kiyumo yeh, that it will exist for 6,000 years. Now let me update you. Do you know what's the date today? Not the English, the real one, the Jewish one. Okay, we are now in the year 5,784. Minus it from 6,000, we left with 216 years. 600 years, and 16 years until the end of the 6,000s. Now, if you take it, you have 6,000, 5 of them passed, the vast majority of the 6 passed. We are in the last quarter of the 6th millennia. This time is the time that what the Nevi'im says, not just Moshe Rabbeinu, all the Nevi'im says events, and I show you a list of events that the Nevi'im said it's going to happen at the end of days. Meaning, this is the time. We are now in the end of days. If you could ask me who said that it started already, I'll show it to you. Because if you take the list and famous things that the Nevi'im says that going to happen at the end of days, we could see that some of those events are started already, obviously. Therefore, we are in this era called Achris Hayomim. Where the Ramban took this from? Ramban lived 850 years ago, and he said, Veda, you should know. How the Ramban knows this? So we have to know that everything that the Ramban and Rashi and all the reliable Mefarshim saying, they didn't just woke up in the morning and thought about an idea and say, okay, let me share with you my thoughts. It doesn't work this way. The entire things are things that we got from generation to generation to generation, and the Mefarshim put it in the psukim that they explain based on the information that we got orally from Moshe Rabbeinu that got it from Hashem. So let me show you the source of the Ramban that the world will be 6,000 years, and then we'll try to, if you understand this, you will try to understand why this number, why 6,000? Why not more? Why not less? Okay? So first, let's go to the source of the Ramban. There is a Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin in Daf Tzadik Zayin. I'm sorry that everything in Hebrew here, but I'll translate. I'm doing a pretty good job, right, about the translation. Okay. It will be easier for you if you see it in English, but malasot. Okay. So the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin quote Eliyahu Hanavi. I don't know if you know, but Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu the prophet, wrote a sefer, a book of Eliyahu Hanavi. It's called Tana Devei Eliyahu. So it's not Eliyahu himself who wrote it, but the Gemara says in different places, very, very interesting thing, that Eliyahu Hanavi was a chavrusa after he went up to the Shamayim. He was a chavrusa of one of the Chashuv Amoraim. The name of this Amora is the sages that was at the time of the Talmud. Rav Anan, that was the name, Rav Anan. Rabbi Cloud. Rav Anan. So he was Zaychet to be a Ayalo Gilui Eliyahu. Eliyahu Hanavi came to him and learned with him Chavrusa. So he wrote all the things that he learned with Eliyahu on a sefer called Tana Devei Eliyahu. And this sefer is on our bookshelf. You could get this sefer in any Jewish Judaica store.
And the Gemara quotes it?
Yeah. So now the Gemara quote the Tana Devei Eliyahu as a reliable source to explain ideas. So here's a quote that the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin quote from the Tana Devei Eliyahu. So, what's written there? Shita alfei shneha ve'alma. It's in Aramaic, I'll translate it to English. Sheshet alafim shana, that's English. In Hebrew, 6,000 years will be the world. So those are the words of Eliyahu Hanavi. Okay? Don't be scared. V'chad charuv. What's going to happen after 6,000? The world will be destroyed for 1,000 years. Chad, 1,000. After the 6,000, 1,000, the world will be destroyed. Ulesof elef shana. After the 7 millennia that the world will be destroyed, Shav HaKadosh Baruch Hu M'chadesh et Olamo, Hashem will renew His world. Okay, I'll explain this, but let's continue. Leave for now what's going to happen in the 7 millennia and after the 7 millennia. Let's go back to the 6. So the Gemara continues and says, Sheshet alafim shana ve'alma, those 6,000 divided to 3 equally groups of 2,000, 2,000, 2,000. And the Gemara says, Shnei alafim tohu, the first 2,000, the title, the description of what's going to happen with them, tohu. What's tohu? If you remember the second pasuk in the Torah, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. This is the first. The second, ve'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu. Right? Tohu vavohu. The non-accurate translation is chaos, but it's not accurate. Tohu vavohu is not chaos. It's bigger than that. It's a big chaos. Tohu, in Hebrew, for those of you who understand Hebrew, if not, I'll try to translate. You have to know any translation always diminish tremendously the original meaning. Tohu comes from the word tehiyah, lithot. The meaning of this word, lithot, is to wonder. I try to understand something, and I try to look at this from this way, this angle, try to understand it, and at the end I say, you know what? I gave up. I don't understand. I do not understand. This is tohu, tehiyah. So this is the title of the 6 2000s. The second group of 2000, the middle one, called Shnei Alafim Torah. This is the title of those 2,000, Torah. There's 2,000 of Torah. We'll explain later. The last group, the last 2,000, Shnei Alafim Yemot HaMashiach. This is the title of those 2,000. Yemot HaMashiach, the days of Mashiach. So you got the picture? We have 6,000. The first two are wonder, Tohu. The second group, Torah. And the last two is Yemot HaMashiach, the days of Mashiach. Now, the Gemara was written 1,600 years ago, approximately. Yeah, 1,600 years ago. Meaning, if we have another 216 to the end, we're talking about 5,200, 250. That's the time that those words was written in the Gemara. So said the Gemara, "Uva'avonotenu sherabu yatzu mehem ma sheyatzu." Now, at the time of the Gemara, now it's 500, 250, meaning that 250 went without Mashiach coming. Why? Because of our sin. What we will say, 1,600 years after, Uva'avonotenu, in our sin, ki rabu verabu verabu, that they become big and big and big, yatzu mehem ma sheyatzu, and Mashiach didn't come, and only less than a quarter left for the 6th millennium. Okay, so what's written here and why? Again, those are the words of the Nevuah of Eliyahu Hanavi. Shita alfe shnei ve'alma. Hashem created, those things you probably heard from your Rebbitzin. But I will summarize it in my words. Hashem created the world in 6 days. In the 6th day, He created Adam and Chava. He put them in Gan Eden. He commanded them not to eat from Etz Hadat Tovara. And they did. This is the first sin. And this sin was so crucial that turned the entire history. We have to know that the history that happened is not the only option. And it's not the must-be option. The fact that they... Why? Because there is a very big concept called free will. Free will. I will explain how dramatic it is, the free will. Hashem created the world. The world is a combination of 2 dimensions, physical and spiritual. The physical obligated to the laws of nature. We know that, right? That's the entire science. Laws of nature. Meaning, there is no even one element in the creation that Hashem created that could do whatever it wants to do. They are just actually, in a way, robots that programmed by the laws of nature. The only exception is a human being. Human being has a body, and the body obligated to the laws of nature like any other physical thing. But the fact that aside from the body we have a neshama, and neshama come from not the physical, different essence, different nature, and it's combined with the body, and a human being is not a body, and it's not a neshama, it's the both. That create the possibility, the ability for free will. Free will not exist in the physical dimension at all. No such a thing. But because here we have a creature that has a physical part, but has a non-physical part. And this person, this creature, the person, the human being is intelligent. Now he has to get decisions. Things happened. What happened when a lion is hungry? He got the message, feed me. And he go look for anything that he could eat, and he'll eat. In a way, that's what happened to a human being. A human being is hungry, right? He got the message, feed me. But here comes the human dilemma. There is food, let's say, but it's not mine. In order to eat it, I have to steal. Lions has no problem with this. Human being might have a problem with this if he's moral. He said, I'm hungry, I'm fully aware what my physical need is. But I have another thing that I have to take in consideration, the right way to behave, the neshama, the truth, the moral. That could put him into dilemma, and not just put the person into dilemma, he could choose to act against his natural needs. Control them. That's a free will. It's come from the fact that we have physical and spiritual. Now, I will say it, I'm not really meaning it, but when Hashem created Adam, a free willer, he took a risk. Because if everything is programmed, you have full control. No one could surprise you. Everything must work according to the laws of nature. But if you put one creature over here, which is free willer, now, and it's free will, it's free meaning Hashem is not interfering or influence the free will. If not, it will not be free. Theoretically, Adam could take the world to a place that the Creator didn't mean when He created it. But what we have to know that was part of the meaning. Hashem wants to create a free willer, and He really wants him, the free willer, meaning human being, to decide the path, the channel, the way the history will work. That's what Hashem wanted. Adam and Chava heard from Hashem, don't eat from Etz Hadat Tov Hara. And they could listen to Hashem, for sure. And if they will listen to Hashem, they will never be chased out of Gan Eden. They will never die. Because Hashem told them, if you will eat, you die. If you will not eat, you will not die. Forever. So that was the possibility. On the other hand, you could just do whatever you feel to do. And he decided not to fulfill the commandment. And therefore, we, each one of us, be aware of this big thing. Actually, we are the designer of the history. We could take the world according to our will, to our free will. That's what Hashem wants us. You will decide where to go. Don't worry, at the end, Hashem is saying, everything will end up the way I want it. Question is, what way you could take? You could take this way or that way. At the end, no one will do anything about what the purpose of Hashem wants. Question is, how do you go? I always give this example. Everyone know today, aware of GPS, right? We have GPS if we're going to Lake George from, I don't know, Canada or somewhere else. We don't know, we're not traveling this ways every day. And sometimes there are constructions and think it's better to have GPS. I know it's never happened to you, to ladies, but for men it could happen, that I'm smarter than the GPS. I mean, the GPS said, no, I'll try this. It seems to me it's shorter way. So sometimes you could do that. Not you, again, me. And stuck because the road is blocked or there is traffic. So the GPS is so patient. You could not listen to him. And then you got lost. And then you say, you know what? From here, let me show you the way. And again, you have free will to listen or not to listen. But what happened? At the end, you will get there. Question is, if in the shortest time or in longest time. With trouble, without trouble. But at the end, you will get there. So this is the mashal. Anyways, Hashem created Adam in the sixth day. He commanded him not to eat from Etz Hadat Uvara, and he did. Because the impact of this sin was tremendous, a lot of implication to this. He has to die, but he has to not be in Gan Eden. So he sent them away. Actually, according to what he told them before he sinned, Adam and Chava, he told them, "Beyom acholcha mimenu mot tamut." At the day that you will eat, you will die. You look at the psukim, you will see that he didn't die in the same day. He sinned in the sixth day, he didn't die. The Torah describes that he lived 930 years. So it's a contradiction, right? Hashem told him, "Beyom acholcha mimenu mot tamut." At the day you die. So it's not a contradiction because you have to understand to learn the ideas behind the words. There is a pasuk in the Tanakh. You're familiar with this because it's in Tehillim. And who is more expert than ladies reading Tehillim? The pasuk says, "Ki 1000 shanim be'enecha keyom etmol ki ya'avor ve'ashmura balayla." I'm not translating the entire thing. One day in your eyes is like 1,000 years. This is a pasuk. Ki 1000 shanim be'enecha keyom, like one day. So if a day is like 1,000 years is like a day, we could understand that what Hashem told them is right. Ki beyom acholcha mimenu mot tamut, at the day, meaning within the first 1,000 years. And that was accurate. He was dead, dying at the end of the first millennium. But there is something deeper than this. Because Hashem created the entire world for Adam, according to the attribute of justice, midas hadin, when Adam didn't listen to Hashem, immediately he has to die. And the entire world, because the entire world was created for him, the entire world should be finished, should be destroyed. But there are another attribute called midas or rachamim. There is midas hadin, the attribute of justice, and midas or rachamim, the attribute of mercy. And Hashem running the world with those two attributes. So according to midas hadin, Adam has to die in the same day, not 1,000 years, the same day, and the world should be destroyed. But because Hashem didn't want the world to be destroyed, He operates the midas or rachamim, the attribute of mercy. The attribute of mercy is not contradict the midas hadin. That's a whole big story that the Mesilas Yesharim speaks about it, and I have all shiur about this. Tshuva, tikkun retroactive repair, and I think I have a version of this in my YouTube channel in English, so if you want, you could hear it. Very interesting. Why midas hadin and midas rachamim are not contradict each other, the attribute of mercy and attribute of justice. So Hashem operates the attribute of mercy, And I hope you know the concept of 13 midot shel rachamim, 13 attributes of mercy. We sang that in davening. Hashem, Hashem, kel rachum v'chanun, erech apayim v'rav chesed v'emet, right? So one of the 13 attributes, meaning, imagine a title, attribute of mercy. Under it, there are 13 subtitles, which is the 13 midos of rachamim. One of them is erech apayim. What's erech apayim? Nose is in the Torah symbolize angry. V'chara af Hashem bachem. When a person is really, really, really angry, it's like smoke come out of his nose. Right? It's af. Charon af. Erech apayim is when Hashem has a good reason to really be angry, he is holding back. Erech apayim. He didn't cut off because of his anger right away, but he gave it time. He gave it time for what? In order for the person who made him angry to repair it, to do tshuva. And if he will do tshuva, the attribute of justice could not demand to punish because he did tshuva. But if the time passed, the erech apayim, the period that delayed, passed and he didn't use the opportunity, then the judgment will apply right away in a very strong way. So, Hashem operates the attribute of mercy for Adam, and he said, instead of me killing you right now and destroy the world, I'm going to give you time to repair. The period will be 6,000 years. Why 6,000 years? Every day that you destroyed in the sixth day will be parallel to 1,000 years. In this time, you, Adam and Chava, and your descendants, meaning the entire human race during the history, will have the chance to fix what did you destroy, what did you ruin. And this is the concept of tikkun, if you heard about this. Tikkun, fixing. The fixing of the world, tikkun olam, and the fixing of a personal, what's your tikkun? This is your part in the big fixing operation of what Adam and Chava ruined. Therefore, it's 6,000. 6,000 parallel to the 6 days that Hashem created the world. So we understood now why it's 6,000, and that's what he said. 6,000 shana ve'alma, 6,000 years will be the world. What's going to happen after? Wow, now we got to the interesting part, but we have lunch. But again, you know what? Tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem, we could continue. What's going to happen after the 6,000? So you have to know this. Let me calm you down. I said, don't worry about the Chad Charov. It's going to be ruined. If we understand the concept that each one of the 6,000 parallel to 1 days of the week, what will be the secret of the 7? Shabbos, Shabbat. So what is Shabbat? Shabbat is take off, take a vacation from dealing with the physicality and enjoy. You have to prepare everything before, but then Shabbos is not a good day for us. I'll skip. A person who never keeps Shabbos and will try just for the sport, not because you want to do tshuva, to keep Shabbos will be a torture. Everything that you used to, you cannot do. You cannot do this. But someone who keeps Shabbos, this is the most amazing day in the week. So we do not have to worry about the 7 millennia because it will be 1,000 years of Shabbos. This is the meaning of charuv, churban. Churban is the destruction of the physical, but flourishing of the spiritual. A whole Shabbos. Then, every Shabbos has a Motzei Shabbos, right? The Motzei Shabbos is the end of the 7 millennia. Then will start Olam Haba, which is the eternity, which is no time anymore, and that will be forever. We have, of course, no clue how things are going to look like, not in the 7th millennia and not after the 7th millennia, but it will be good. Because we finished fixing the mess of what happened in the first sin in the 6,000. So this is, we spoke now about, that was the Hakdama. That was the outline of what we're talking about, right? In the next year, B'ezrat Hashem, maybe tomorrow if you want, we'll talk about what's the Nevi'im, the prophet says, gonna happen at the end of days, which is from now, or actually it started already, the last time of the 6th millennia, and this is fascinating and amazing, but it will have to wait till tomorrow. Thank you.